When's the best time to go on safari? Let me tell you in today's video, but first, intro. Hello wildlife watchers, it's Jeff here. If this is your first time meeting me, it's a pleasure to have you on my YouTube channel. My name is Jeff Heyer and I'm a certified safari addict. Wildlife watching and exploring natural destinations is my life. On this channel where you're watching this video, I share weekly adventure vlogs where we go on wildlife expeditions and explore beautiful places all around the world. Occasionally, I also post videos like this one where I share travel insights and answer the big questions that get asked of me about my travels. Being a safari addict, I've traveled extensively through East Africa. When I'm talking about East Africa, I'm referring to Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda. These regions are some of the most popular wildlife watching destinations in the world. Every time I finish the safari in these places, I find myself wanting to go back time and again. So through these experiences and working with tour operators and hospitality brands in these regions, I've learned a lot about safari travel. So in today's video, I'm going to answer a common question I get asked, which is when's the best time to go on safari? Well, if you ask me, it's always a good time to go on safari, but I understand that going just any time of year might not be as appealing to all of you depending on the conditions of each season. So in this video, let me break down what it's like to travel during each season of the year so you know what to expect when traveling to East Africa. Let's start by going over the dry seasons. The most popular time to go on safari in East Africa is during the summer dry season, June through October. The thing is, it's typically a lot easier to spot wildlife during the dry season. Vegetation has stopped growing, it's starting to thin out, and huge herds of animals are starting to mow it down, making it easier to find animals. With less vegetation, there's less places to hide if you're a cheetah, lion, or leopard, and so on and so forth. Also, with less rainfall, water is less abundant, which means huge herds of animals gather around these watering holes. So you will see large concentrations of animals gathered all together. With more wildlife watching opportunities comes more crowds. This is considered high season for East Africa travel. Not only are the conditions ideal for wildlife watching, but also the timing falls under the busy summer holiday season. There is a large compression in the market, which means costs for transport, flights, and lodges will be higher this time of year, and you will see a lot of vehicles out in the parks, especially in the national parks and national reserves like Masai Mara, Amboseli, and Serengeti, to name a few. You can find and seek out more private experiences to go on safari. Private game reserves and conservancies, for example, only offer access to visitors staying in their exclusive lodges. It will be private, but you will have to pay for it. Traveling this time of year overall is a lot more expensive. Also taking place this time of year in places like the Masai Mara in Kenya is the Great Wildebeest Migration, when millions of wildebeest and zebra migrate from Tanzania into the Masai Mara to feed on fresh pastures. This is a huge wildlife spectacle and people flock here every year to watch this phenomenon. Large groups of animals will be crossing the Mara River. We've all seen these famous and most epic wildlife scenes in every nature documentary. This event attracts people from all around the world every single year. It will be busy and congested with not just animals, but safari vehicles there to watch them. The last thing that makes dry season so ideal is, well, it's dry season. The weather is a lot more predictable overall. It could very well rain any time of year during your travels, but they call it dry season for a reason. You can expect clearer days and better visibility. It will be hot, but there will be less humidity. Guess what? There's a second dry season in East Africa. It's typically a bit shorter, but it's still a great time of year to travel there. From late December to early March, the conditions are a lot drier. This would be considered the shorter dry season. Let's talk about wet season, because there are some perks of going during the wet season, believe it or not. The heaviest rains in East Africa fall from March to the end of May. The light rains last from October through December. Now, I've traveled a lot during wet season, especially in the month of May. Now, I will say my honest opinion, although some days were rainy and wet, it did not affect my experience in a negative way. In fact, there was its own beauty to it. Plants are lush and green, the rain is magical in the grasslands, and there's just something powerful about it. Wildlife might be more dispersed and trickier to find, but there's a lot less competition fighting for the sightings. Of course, this would be a quieter time of year to travel, it'll be a lot less busy, and costs will be much lower. Definitely take advantage of lower prices if you have the privilege to travel during off-season. Lodges that are open year-round will have more availability. Bird watching is in full swing during the wet season if that's your wildlife focus. And in my experience, thick vegetation and taller grass have not prevented wildlife spotting opportunities. I've had just as much success spotting animals during the wet season as dry season, and I will say it's not the weather that is going to improve your experience, it's going to be the driver and guide. Because my philosophy is if you have a good driver and guide, you can find wildlife in any condition. I'd say that's a much greater component of a positive experience than weather. The wildebeest migration will be south from October to June in the Serengeti, so if you want to see huge herds of animals, that's when and where you want to be. Several lodges in the parks and reserves are only open seasonally and aren't even an option to stay at during the wet season. The muddy roads make them inaccessible for daily use, so this is something to consider. Before I finish this video, I just want to say that East Africa is very diverse and has varying climates and seasons within it. In Kenya alone, there are beaches, rainforests, deserts, savannas, and high mountains all in one country. The conditions you experience in each place might not all sync up at any given time of the year. At the end of the day, there are pros and cons of going anytime and during any month of the year. It's important to consider what and where you want to visit before deciding when. Do you need more help planning your safari? If you want me to be involved in your safari planning process, I'd be happy to help. In the description below, you'll find information on how to get a hold of me. I work with a wide network of tour operators and hospitality brands across East Africa who would be happy to assist you. Let me know and I'd be happy to put you in touch with the right people and help you book, design, and plan your dream safari. If you want to watch more videos like this one where I share safari and travel insights, don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Safe travels, and I'll see you next time.